to maybe give us a short introduction. Marcelo,
Thank
please.
you. Thank you, Borut. You're very lucky because you have a wonderful country, beautiful country. It's almost paradise.
Put the mask down.
Oh, you're right. I always think of the Portuguese public opinion, you know. And wonderful country, almost paradise. You feel it? If you don't feel it, you're absent-minded. And then, wonderful people. We look very alike. I mean, sweet people, open-minded people, open to the world and to the future, and very much pro-European. You are in the center of Europe. We are a little bit more peripheral, but anyway, feeling as if we were in the center of Europe. You have a wonderful president. He's unique. He is unique. Well, let me tell you. Yes. He doesn't like it. He's shy. Yes, he's shy. Nobody would say it, but he's shy. Yes, and he's brilliant. He's very respected all over the world and in Europe, mostly. And we are close friends for years. And it's an honor and a pleasure for me to be here with you, and a pleasure because I'm professor. My life has been.
Nobody's perfect, Marcelo. No joke.
You're not professor. That's why you feel imperfect. Well, so it's my life. No, not being politician, is being professor. With I don't know how many, but around 30,000 students. And over 40 years of, as professor, university professor, law professor. A little bit boring, but law professor. Well, so Europe, something we share, we have in common, you have in common. And it's our future. And we are important in the world because we are Europeans. And Europe is the balance of the world. There were two superpowers. It used to be, you know, Soviet Union and United States. Then it was Russia, United States. Now it's mostly China and United States. But it's changing. New superpowers emerging, India, and in the African continent, South Africa a little bit, and Brazil, it's always a possibility. In
China?
Yes, of course. China is now the second worldwide global power, with the United States, always United States leading. And Europe is leading as trade power. We are very strong economically, but also politically very important. When it's necessary to have a platform, a bridge between the other powers, there we are. There we were. The Secretary General of the United Nations is a Portuguese, António Guterres, which means we Slovenians, we Portuguese, are very important in making those bridges, building those bridges. But we're here listen to know your ideas and to try to understand your questions, because you think of your future. I imagine how I was when I was 18. I was born in 48, so 18 was a decisive year for me, because it was, at the moment when things were changing in Portugal. We lived in a dictatorship. For us, Europe meant democracy, rule of law, human rights, progress, development, freedom, and also, of course, welfare state and social justice. And that happened with the revolution of '74. A little bit later on, you joined the club, the European club, and you are celebrating 30 years, which is very important. And in a sense, well, here we are, trying to dream of a strong Europe, building a strong Europe, a united Europe, and that looks ahead, thinks about the future, not the past, learning the lessons of the past, but now, and living the pandemic. What an experience, huh? You had, because you had never lived any kind of pandemic, ever. I've had a small one, well, a long time ago in the beginning of the century, but it was nothing compared with this. this changed a little bit our lives, and now we want to recover economically, socially, and mentally, and well, whatever. So here we are. Who is going to ask the first question?
Okay, let's go on.
Tinkara Koshir, second grade. As the pandemic has showed us, we can do a great deal of work at home. Do you think that will affect the employment policies for young people? Will the employers in the future hire young people quicker and easier?
Yes, I'm sure. You'll be the ones that will win more and quicker, because you know more about those new technologies, because you can afford to, being young, to react quicker than the others. So the problem is not with you, it's with people of my age, above 50s, 60s, 70s. In your case, new jobs will be created in a very easy way for you, and you'll be there because you get the message in a quicker way. And the message is, as Borut said, the one of creating equality wherever you live. You live here in Kranj, you live in Ljubljana, you live in Lisbon, you live in Paris, you live in the middle of Africa, of Asia, and so on. But here in Europe, or traveling or working all over the world, because now you'll be working all over the world if you want to. It's today's world, not living in the neighborhood where you were born. Digital allows you to be universal, to be global. And younger people are global in a much easier way than older generations. So don't be afraid, don't be worried. You'll have those jobs for you. The problem is, for older generations, what kind of social jobs one must create to get them still active and not excluded, not in a ghetto. This is not a problem for you. You are a very young society, but for societies like Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, Greece, that...
we are the oldest, you know.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
At the top.
Believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Even worse than Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's amazing. I would say it. And that's a problem, because then those people feel as if they live in a ghetto. Because it's difficult for them to understand new technologies, to deal with them. And what to do? One has to create new social jobs, take care of museums, work with children, work in social institutions, work in whatever is social care, living for younger generations, innovation, creativity, scientific and technological development. And so I don't think you'll have job problems, but the opposite on account of the digital.
But definitely we will change, you know, many jobs until the very end of the business career, you know, many jobs. And, you know, going through the educational system, it's not just about getting knowledge, but this capability to understand, you know, changes. Are you ready to take, you know, challenges and opportunities, you know, of these changes? Are you afraid of them, or do you dream about them? This is up to you. So let's go on.
Jana Begur, second grade. The European Union has made commitments that will contribute to sustainability. What more will be done in this direction during the presidency, and how is the European Union willing to support sustainability? Will you adopt and welcome any new agreements or degrees? Thank you.
Well, you know that in the world there have been two opposite visions on climate change and sustainability. And a very conservative one, China for a long time, China, and even Russia, and some Asian countries were very much against it. Then they joined. They were forced to join, little by little. The United States used to be leading and paving the way. For 4 years, they denied the reality. Not necessarily the United States, the American society went on. But Europe was pioneer. Europe was pioneer. We were pioneer in the Paris Agreement, in the Tokyo Agreement, in whatever meant intergenerational vision of development, economic, social development. Thinking of the future, not of the past or the present. Water supply, waste, circular economy, renewables, the digital. And so Europe was always number one, and still is number one. During the Portuguese presidency, we got another step on climate law. And with objective, very clear objectives in reducing whatever is negative for the climate till 2030. And we're aiming at even more ambitious objectives. And this is what we've done in the Portuguese presidency, we've done in Eslovénia and numa, because there we do agree. There are exceptions, few exceptions, 1 or 2 or 3 states that discuss the 55% and discuss how it is calculated and so on and so on. And the United States joined again the Paris Agreement now with the Biden administration. So we are in a very good mood worldwide. Of course, we must force China, because they say they join, but then they pollute and they go on having a fast industrialization and not really fulfilling the commitments. India is getting much better, and understanding what's needed to be done. Then we have Latin America, must join it. And so it's global, and Europe is the example. And you are also the pioneers, because it's your fight, it's our fight. But at the age of 72, almost 73, it's a fight for me, but for 20 years, and I'm being optimistic. For you, it's a whole lifetime. And so, European Union is very much committed on it. No doubts about it, no doubts.
10 years ago, the world has gone through the financial crisis. Nowadays, we are going through the health crisis. And it is my opinion that in less than 10 years, we'll go through a climate crisis. I've been quite surprised when a couple of days ago, when having a meeting of advisory board on climate change that is working for me, that one of the member of this advisory board has mentioned that probably, just probably, we will face some sort of climate lockdown. This has been mentioned after the German Constitutional Court has decided, pay attention, that this generation of politicians have unique obligation to take care about your rights in the future. Unprecedented decision by the Constitutional Court. And the question, has arisen out of this decision, how to implement the decisions that we would not, violate the decision by the court. And maybe, just maybe, we would not be so successful in implementing the decisions by Paris Agreement and others, and there will be a need for a climate lockdown to get closer to the obligations. So this is really an academic debate. I would not say it, I mean, if that would be in the House, but I would like to debate with you how important this issue should be solved, how important it is and how quickly should be solved, because there are experts around the world who are saying, listen guys, it's not about 20, 30, 40 years, it's about 10 years you have, the time to implement new politics about this. So we have to speed it up very much.
Let me add 3 ideas. In the case of Portugal, we have our renewables producing sometimes around the year 80% of the energy, 80 to 85%. This is quite a change. Second, the Director General, it's a Portuguese migrations, was in Lisbon a week ago, and he told me, look at this, in Africa, now we have migration, not caused by wars, by instability, political, geographical, and geopolitical, economic instability, but by climate change in the center of Africa. People are migrating in mass because all of a sudden the climate has changed in countries like Chad, Central African Republic, and it's an additional reason for migration. In Latin America, there is a kind of dry corridor that crosses from south to north, the middle of Central America, causing migrations. Just on account of climate change, he said, unbelievable. I wouldn't believe it. In different countries. So it's a problem of, as Borut said, today's problem. In 5 years, less than 5 years, it will be dramatic in some regions of the world. It's not a problem for faraway future, it's for today.
Well, the question is also, what are you ready to do to change your behavior in framework of this, new climate policy? Not to be as Kennedy 50 years ago, but it is up to everybody to make this question and make the answer to this question. Okay, next one. Who is? Please.
Paulina Lina Tomajic, 2nd grade. Nuclear power is a controversial source of energy since it has faced many serious concerns, mostly about its safety and radioactive waste. What is Portugal's opinion on nuclear power plants, and how do you manage to provide enough electrical power without them?
Well, there is no nuclear power in Portugal. There is a consensus in our country, so we don't have it in Portugal. The problem is discussing with Spain, because Spain still has it, not far away from our border, and they are planning to close it. And we're discussing how long will it take to close it. It should have been in 2 years, 4 years, 3 years, 5 years. It has been postponed. It is a Spanish internal question. I'm not going to make any comment on it. But being near the border, and although they are taking care and avoiding some of the so-called collateral effects, in Portugal, that is ever since the beginning of our democracy, a consensus against it. So that's it.
What is your name, sorry?
Paulina.
Paulina, what is your opinion on this issue?
I'm not sure actually. I'm trying to understand all different perspectives that are to this problem. But I think countries should invest in renewable sources of energy, like solar energy, or that is.
Okay.
Wind energy.
Wind energy, yes, of course.
Is there
and also the waves, sea energy.
Is there somebody who has very clear opinion on this? on nuclear energy? Is there somebody? No? Nobody has strong opinion or in favor of or against it? Okay. Will be a strong debate in Slovenia because sooner or later we have to decide. So probably it will be a referendum on this issue and will be a strong debate. Okay. Let's go on. Who is next? Yes.
Nika Ulčar, second grade. Given that we're facing migrations, which in the future will include climate migration, as you've mentioned, my question is, how do you advocate the protection of natural resources? And what's the European Union's position on sustainable farming and industry and the protection of natural heritage, such as drinking water, fresh air, and so on?
Same answer. I mean, it's a priority for Europe. In these new plans, national plans about recovery and resilience, there are 37% of what is about to be spent just allocated to climate change and energy transition. And then, of course, 20% digital transition altogether, which means quite a priority. European Union feels that any country would, and Europe as a whole, would invest on it immediately. It is urgent. It's for the next couple of years, and we cannot miss the opportunity of going on being pioneers in the world. That's sure. That's sure. That's peaceful. There is consensus on it.
I do completely agree. Let's go on. Yes.
Miha Winter, third grade. So I'm a swimmer and I've been thinking about studying abroad. So the first country that came to my mind was the USA because they are well known for having universities that balance sport and education. I also know a lot of swimmers who chose to study in the USA and not in any of the EU countries. So I'm curious, will there be more universities that focus on athletes in EU in the near future?
Well, it is well known that the United States really is a, power as far as this is concerned. I've visited different universities across U.S. and really there is, if somewhere is really, taking care about the athletes, then in universities across the U.S. Really is well done. But I think Europe will not just look this and will do something about it. But I mean it's not bad idea to go to U.S. and to look how there is the life. For us, it is important to get you back. To come back to Europe, to Slovenia, and to raise family here. This is much more important than your decision to go there. It's very nice to meet different cultures, languages, people, and all that stuff. And then with this, to give you back to the country. So your plan is to go to United States, to study there, to swim there, to win the championship, and then come back to Slovenia, or?
I haven't decided yet, but yeah, I've been thinking about it. Not so sure. I might stay here, I might go there.
Well, if heart is for US, just go there. If there is no enough passion, then think another time. But follow your dreams. Okay.
Well, may I say a word? Yes. Well, today's world is that way. My oldest grandchild lived in Brazil, then in China, now in Portugal. He applied to universities in the United States and United Kingdom, and also some continental European universities. One of the reasons was he would very much like to have sport together with university. I think he'll be choosing United Kingdom. It's closer, but if it was the case of being America, why not United States? And as Borut said, good to have him back in Portugal, in Europe. You'll be crossing the world and coming back home. And that's good for you. But even in European universities, in Portugal, for instance, we started a program of having a special statute, a special regulation for those that want to be champions in sport and must have a very, you have it also, a specific regime to help you to join the two activities. Of course, the United States is much better. They started first and they do it in big. That's why they are still the leaders of the world. But we're doing it also in Europe. So don't have any kind of complex in thinking big, traveling, knowing new cultures, new civilizations, and then be back home.
I visited Indiana University years ago, and I've been completely surprised because you can swim there 24 hours. You know, whenever you would like to swim, you have a opportunity to go there and swim. Really, it's really taking care about those who are in love with the swim. Okay, let's go on. Yes.
Gregor Griltz, third grade. Being a part of a big European family brings many advantages. One of them, for example, is simplified border crossing and also common currency of euro. Now my question is, do you think it is realistic to expect further enlargement of the European Union, and which country could be the new member?
We debated a lot about it. I tried to persuade my colleagues that Western Balkans should be on the agenda. Will not be an easy task, but we have to take some very important decisions to, take care about the peace and stability and welfare of people down there. I think it's in interest of Europe, of European Union, to enlarge to the Western Balkans, and definitely it's in interest of Western Balkans to be included in the Union. This is, I think, important because if there will be no dreams down there about European Union, then some very dangerous ideas will come out about changing the borders and all that stuff that we witnessed 25 years ago when the war has been there. We are saying a lot that Europe has preserved, with the Union, the peace and stability. Yes, but not in Western Balkans. There has been a war 25 years ago with a lot of victims. And with enlargement, I think we can prevent this to happen once again. I'm not saying that this should be the case, but let us, think about consequences of our action or non-actions. Okay, Marcelo?
Do fully agree. Completely. No doubt about it.
Somebody else?
Well, I actually have one other question.
Do you have an opinion on your question also?
Well, I would say it will make it much easier if any other country will join the EU because of traveling. Like my dad also travels a lot, like you said, in other Balkan countries, so it will make it a lot easier if they join the EU. And another question is, do you think any other country will leave the EU as the UK has done?
Marcelo. No, Borut.
No, I'm curious.
You first. Well,
yeah,
I would say...
You're my friend, yes.
No one. It's not probable. There is nothing like seeing what's happened. And I have plenty of American, of British friends. There is a special connection between England and Portugal. It's our oldest ally. For centuries. We owe our independence against Spain to England at a point in the 14th century. And they feel that the decision was, it happens very often in referenda, a negative coalition. I mean, people dislike this and this and this and this and this, and then they don't like this, they don't like the government, they don't like the bureaucrats, they don't like the bureaucrats, they don't like this and that, and then all of a sudden they decide. And I was invited by Prime Minister May just after the referendum in London. And we were sitting in Downing Street then, you know, that place that appears to be huge, and it's small, very small. Well, never had thought that it should be so small. Not even the Oval Room. It's also very small. Well, and then there she was, and she was trying to explain they were not prepared for it. They were going to think it over afterwards, because they had to convert a negative coalition into a positive decision, which is very difficult. What to do now? What to do next? Nobody thought it would be possible. And so now, the question is, in the agreement between the European Union and the United Kingdom, it's for the United Kingdom to keep whatever is useful in European Union without having any kind of trouble, which was already their situation before, because they were not joining 3 or 4 points, Schengen agreement, healthcare, social policies, and so on. And now, for them, they want whatever is good in the European Union, with the exception of what is not so useful, with no substantial changes compared with the past. So I believe any country that would look at the present situation in the future and look at what happened in the United Kingdom will say, better not to try. No, let us be inside. The European Union is very diversified. We are different, but we play together. We discuss, we debate, in the last minute we agree. Because we know that union means strength. And that makes the difference. I don't believe, really, analytically, this is any probable scenario. No.
Let me start by saying that I'm so sorry that our British colleagues has decided. Has been their sovereign right, and they decided. And the EU without United Kingdom is different than EU with the United Kingdom. I have been a member of European Council as Prime Minister for 3 years, and I could observe how important Great Britain was. You know, some sort of different thinking has been there because of them. You know, liberalism in the best possible way, I would say. You know, liberal thinking was very significant for them, and also for the rest of members of the European Committee. So we've lost a lot, but I think also they lost a lot. And probably the future will tell us who have lost more. But I don't think somebody is gaining out of this decision. We will see. And I don't think, at least in near future, somebody else will try to repeat this drama. So I'm looking what is going on in Scotland. I don't know if you have any statement on this. I should not to make it, but it's their sovereign right also. But it means that those ideas are going around still, and what I would like to see in Europe is to see more passion among ourselves about the European Union. It's our, country in a way. Because of EU, we have a peace and stability. We don't know what would happen if EU will be destroyed by, somebody or something. So we have to preserve it. We have to make whatever it takes to preserve it, because it's so important for your future and the future of your children.
I would add something that you already know, but you'll be knowing more and more throughout your life. What we have in everyday's life, we are used to consider normal. We consider living in democracy normal, having freedom of press normal, having political parties normal. And in your generation, this is something we consider normal situation. For my generation, I've lived in dictatorship. It was quite a change, a radical change. People only feel something is important when they lose it, when they lose democracy, when they lose Europe. I was thinking about it the day before yesterday. I went for a walk. I love walking. I walked. I know Ljubljana, all of it. Walking in today's time, and I wanted to have some money. I had forgotten to. And I said, what an advantage to have euros. What would be a mess. I'm going from here to Bulgaria. Imagine traveling as we do, having to get one currency, another currency, another currency, another currency. And you don't think of it. Well, it's normal. You'll be in Portugal having euros, and in France, and whatever. And same for democracy. It's good to have protests, and I love seeing people having protests and so on, in front of the palace, and go and speak with them. Well, you don't like this, and this why? It would have been possible in dictatorship. Impossible. So the same thing about your health care. You're not ill. Well, it's normal. When you get sick, then, oh, what a drama. What a drama. Same thing for societies. And that's why we do not feel the need for fighting for democracy and for human rights and for climate change and for Europe. Because it's normal, we have Europe. But just imagine there were borders. You couldn't cross the borders, different currencies. It would be a drama. It was a drama to cross the border between Portugal and Spain some decades ago. And to go to Northern Europe, Central Europe. So we must fight for these things we are used to consider as something we will never lose. No, the fight for democracy is, I don't know if you enjoy seeing soccer. I love soccer.
Me too, yeah.
Yes. In soccer there are ties. In politics there are no ties. In economics there are no ties. Either you win or you lose. You are winning or losing. In democracy the same. Either you are improving your democracy or you're losing. You are improving your Europe or you're losing. No ties. A tie is a defeat. You say now, I got 0-0. Well, it was good. No, it was a defeat.